It is Reds, it is Erdinger, it is Friday night, it's Neil Atkinson with Damian, Kavanagh, Dan Morgan and Kev Walsh settling ourselves in before what's a massive weekend of football. Transfers are everywhere at the minute, Kev. We all want to talk about transfers. Transfers are exciting. We know the window closes on Monday. We know Liverpool may well be doing 2, maybe 3 bits of business, you know, in terms of incomings. But the title could be won and lost on Sunday. And what I mean is at the end of the season, there might be 2-3 points between the two teams that are playing on Sunday. It is a massive, massive game.
Yeah, huge. Arsenal, I think probably before last weekend's games where Tottenham obviously beat City, I haven't seen the Wolves game. I was a bit like, oh, they look like a well-oiled machine, Man City, didn't they? You've got to take it into account that they were playing Wolves, though. I think are probably in for a tough season. But if we look at the way we've started the season, like, exciting, don't get me wrong, like, so exciting, do you know what I mean? I'll take another, excuse me, last-minute winner from somebody on Sunday, no problem at all. But if you can somehow get over the line on Sunday and get to 9 points, it puts a bit of a dagger in their hearts as well, doesn't it? Because we've started, people are probably going, oh, they look a bit ropey then. You can look as ropey as you want if you won the first 3 games, can't you? It doesn't make a blind bit of difference what it's looked like, because the leaderboard shows you. The leaderboard, where am I from? The table shows you. We've got 9 points up there. So I think it is an absolutely massive game for us. And in a way, I feel like it might be the type of game we need, because we've played 2 teams where you're like, should be Bournemouth at home. Bournemouth are brilliant. That Semenyo's unbelievable. Like, we done a post-match after, didn't we? You were both like, how good are they? How are they that good? Then you go to Newcastle with all of the palaver around it. But they're another team that plays a style of football that we hate. Like that, in your face, like scrappy, no actual football being played style doesn't suit us. Whereas Arsenal, don't get now. And I know you're not into the set pieces at the moment, and I'm fully on board with what you're saying. But they're more of a footballing team, aren't they? And I feel like you can sort of enjoy the match a little bit more if it's a bit of a straight shootout that says, well, you're good, we know you're good, but we're the champions and we're brilliant and we've strengthened. So I think Arsenal might be a really, listen, 3 points would be unbelievable. Probably not vital, I wouldn't say, but can't get beat.
Champions versus the runners-up. Yeah, it's got all the motifs, and also runners-up. Listen, they didn't get a good points haul last season in the end. They'll know that. They'll be on top of that. But they did spend much of the season feeling like the second best team in the country. I think the expectation is, listen, City could come between the two of us. That's the way it goes from time to time. We know that. But realistically, at the very least, 2 of the top 3 at the end of this campaign are facing each other at Anfield on Sunday.
No question, and like you say there, you know, the 6-point swing there.
Yeah.
That the title will be decided by less than that. I think Arsenal could be. I've got a lot of respect for what they've done, and I think they're getting a bit of a hard narrative now. You're always the bridesmaid and bottling this. Well, they did have injury situations last season. Yeah. They are a dangerous side. They have strengthened. They will be better for the experience. They'll be hungrier for the experience. I still think we're better than them. I still think we'll finish ahead of them. But you can sail into the underestimating them, which is a huge mistake to make. And as much as they didn't play well at Man United, it's still a significant result to get, certainly on the opening day. So, yeah, this is massive. And a bit like, definitely agree with Kevin there. I mean, you know, definitely don't get beat, but I just see us winning this, and I think the game could go in a number of directions here. And if it's chaos, we can win in the chaos. And I think if it's more controlled, because we've definitely our performances have got the points, but must do better. And I think that this could be the perfect game to play them, and the timing could be now. And then we get to the other side of the international break, and we've got 9 on the board, and it includes Arsenal. That is a dagger in the heart, and it's a message to the league. Jesus, they haven't started that solidly, and they've got 9 points and just beat the runners up.
And we've just signed potentially.
Exactly. So there's all that into it. So I think it's going to be, we have so much got to do better. If you're not into the set pieces at the moment, I am alongside you, in that defensive wall, mate. You know, it's just, we don't look convincing at all, and they're good at it. And if I was they, and they can play a couple of ways, I would be concentrating heavily on that.
I think that's an absolute
So we've just got to be good at what we're good at, be in control of the ball, and one of the reassuring things is, no one's better at Anfield than Liverpool, and there are blips. But the other thing is, if they're playing well, we're still nails on the counter. Yeah. We are, and we're proving that. So there's a constant danger. So, you know, there's so much at stake early, and it is early season, but this is a massive opportunity to do that dagger in the heart. I like that one. Let's have that.
It is for them, I think. Listen, a win for them would be enormous, Dan. It'd make them feel as though, you know, the season's coming together for them this early, missing a couple of players, which they may well be. definitely missing 2. They'll feel like we've just proven a great deal. We've won at Old Trafford and Anfield in the first 3. That is, that's an enormous carrot to dangle. I think a win for us would reassert 100% that Liverpool are the champions for the right reasons, and that the season opens up from here. It's still, in a number of ways, the phony war, but the points count, and as Cav says, in a game like this one, it's 6 points, it's not 3.
If you get to that international break, having not been at your best, having loads of outside noise, but being 3 wins in 3, that's a mark of champions. Considering you've just won the league, that's...
Yeah.
And then we can all settle down, is the thing that we're all thinking, is then the football can start to take shape. We're bedded in until January with what we've got for everyone, and we go from there. And that would be the dream scenario for us. Loads to work on, loads to improve, yeah, absolutely. In terms of this game, you said first v second, champions v runners up. We haven't won in 6 against these. Yeah. Do you win against them?
Yeah.
We need a result. We need to win against them, because the closest to you've got to beat your closest rivals in what we deem to be a 2 or 3 horse race. I think we've got to make it crazy. I think we've got to make the game crazy.
I think it will be.
Well, I wouldn't have a problem if it was 2-2 after 20 minutes. And we've given a couple away.
But for a wild Sunday,
I
think so, yeah.
You mentioned one thing there before, you mentioned control. I think they're really going to want to try and control the concept of not conceding a goal. I think if they feel like they can get a clean sheet, they'll win the game.
Yep.
Because I think they'll feel like they can nick a set piece at any time. Long throw in, free kick in their own half, corner. They'll feel like 0-0 on 65, they're more likely to win.
And they're more likely to have more options from the bench.
That was my other point, is that I'm not sure you can look at us now and say, we've got that impactful sub on 65 who can change a game.
Just to cut in there, I reckon Varney slot sitting here, he's gone, well, Cage didn't do too badly against
I don't listen. I don't disagree. I mean, I think I'm saying let's look at it more from an Arteta perspective. If he sees Diaz, Jota, Núñez coming off the bench for Liverpool as was last year or the previous years, compared to Chiesa or Rio Ngamoa, he's going to want to take Chiesa or Rio Ngamoa, and that's what we've had available to us over the last couple of years. And look, we might be sitting here Monday night saying,
amazing that Elliot got the winner.
Yeah, but we might also be saying, look, we've smashed the British transfer record for a forward, and we're all in dreamland. But that doesn't help us on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah. And
ultimately, whatever the situation's going to be, I really don't want us in a losing game situation from sort of 60 onwards.
Well, part of it when you're talking about these games which we failed to win in the last 6, something that's happened in a number of them is they've scored first, they've scored early, and it feels like we've snookered ourselves. I mean, I can think of a couple of them where it genuinely feels. There's the one in the Emirates where we concede inside the first 120 seconds, and you're just sort of watching it unfold before your eyes and thinking, what's going on here? There's been a couple from set pieces. For me, I like the idea to make it mad, but making it mad's got to also include us scoring first. If you see what I mean, and then what you do next from that, Damian, I think is the difficult part. But I'm just tired of watching these go 1-0 up against us, so we've got to do something about that.
And psychologically for them, even though they can get in front against us, they also know that the washing machine happens.
And they get pegged back. They can get pegged back. Yeah.
I think the fullbacks are important. As anyway, thought Szoboszlai was marvellous at Newcastle.
Yeah, it was great.
But we couldn't have 2 with him in the middle, couldn't we? And so young Connor. That's a worry with his fitness. But if he's back, and I wouldn't be against Robertson playing either for the grit in this, and just basically being solid and not letting
as well as
it.
That experience of them big games helps.
If you're looking for someone, to be an experienced fullback who can drop in a high-profile game who knows his way round, that's what you've got by definition. Yeah. And if the game then calls for us to be more expansive and more, whatever, then you've got that option from the bench. So I personally. No problem either way, but I would go for that one. And I know we're talking about fullbacks in a game like this.
I understand.
But Liverpool have got to look a lot more solid at the back. Now, Gravenberch being there is good, but Connor's a big lad, and he's a tough cookie. Yeah. You need that characteristic in a game like this, because you do fancy Arsenal to score Sunday, don't you? So let's keep that low. I think that's important, and if we can just be that solid at the back, and we've got Szoboszlai as an option in the middle with all the energy that he provides, and then the attacking options can then look after themselves.
But who are you picking in the middle then?
Oh, it's so tough, isn't it? So McAllister's back, isn't he?
Supposedly he's trained.
Well, it's one of them games, isn't it, with there's so many substitutes.
Yeah. Oh, there's something you're going to end up making.
That's it, isn't it? You know what I mean? So they're all getting
Not to call you a coward,
No,
so
I'm working through it. No, so I'm working through it. So I think McAllister might well be the substitute.
Yeah, all right.
Do you know what I mean? Because of like being up to speed. So if someone say after the game's been rattling for an hour or something like that, normally you'd say it'd be mad not to start him, but I think Soboslai's got to be in there, Gravenberch's got to be in there, and I think you've just got to play Wirtz into this.
Yeah,
that's what I would do. And this is, you know, there's going to be a game where this lad's class shows through, you know, and in a game like this, where it isn't, you know, the traditional English cup tie, if you like, that Newcastle fully deserve to inflict on us, but it's more of a game, then surely you would imagine that Wirtz would be better. So they would be my three, and that's why I think it's important that we have Kavanagh for that, to release him from that role that he did there. And then when you're talking about options from the bench, McAllister can come on, he can shore you up, or he can make you better, more incisive going forward. So that's where I am.
He started Curtis Jones in the last two against these. Now, the one at home obviously takes McAllister out after we win the league.
Yeah.
But at the Emirates last season, he starts Jones and doesn't start Szoboszlai. Now, in your head, you think Szoboszlai starts every game last season in that 10. But he's almost first sub. Szoboszlai comes on, plays Jones as a 10, but it's more dropped in. So, I'd personally, if McAllister was fit, I'd start him. I think he's a real pace setter. And I think him and Gravenberch complement each other so well, and they know it. They know the lay of the land. But it's interesting that Curtis has started the last two, so it might just be something to look out for in that. He name-checked Bradley today, by the way, so I think Bradley will start.
Yeah. He name-checks Bradley when he doesn't have to.
Yeah, exactly.
As well, he goes out of his way to do it.
Yeah.
Which is always a bit of a marker with him when he plays in the forefront. He also massively name-checks set pieces before anyone's even asked him today as well. He's very on top of that too. Front three being the front three, Gakpo, Ekitike, Salah. Yeah,
I think you've got to. And I agree with Cav, I think you've got to go Wirtz as well. I think you can't... It's almost like Cody Gakpo at home is a different proposition to Cody Gakpo away, so that gets him in. You're never taking Salah out in a million years. Ekitike, you're going to run because he's in great form, and Wirtz, you're looking for that big statement performance from. So, yeah. And also, I think the other point around Ekitike and Wirtz is we've been building them up more and more. We've been building that match fitness into them, into this sort of league and into this country. So, you know, it's another 90 minutes or it's another game in their legs that they didn't get the full game on Monday. So, you know, you're hopeful now that Sunday maybe they can do 80 plus.
Yeah.
Because we're building that up constantly. And that's a lot different to 65. Like, you know, you're not having to take them off, then that extra 15 minutes could be massive if we've got them at that level.
You doing Wirtz?
Yeah, I agree with Gav. I think you've got to just play him into the season. I think you spoke then about Gravenberch and McAllister. They really do complement each other. McAllister and Wirtz, I think in 6 months' time we'll be saying it's impossible to get the ball off them because they're like next level midfielders. They're comfortable. They could have the ball between us 4 now, and they'd know they were never going to lose it. To be fair, that's probably not a big. That probably says more about.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah, maybe you could do it then. But
we'd watch.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, let's answer the But I think the thing that I'm looking forward to most in the season is the relationship that I foresee developing between Wirtz and McAllister, because they're so clever as footballers. They use not just the ball but the space on the pitch. Do you know what I mean? They know where to receive that ball for maximum efficiency, and Gravenberch is exactly the same. So I think, in my head, if you said to me, you'd always think pace and power, don't you? Pace and power, and that's Szoboszlai all over. And don't get me wrong, he's unbelievable as well. But I just think the 3 most technical footballers we've got in that area is Gravenberch in the 6 because he's brilliant. McAllister just slightly further forward, but also willing to do the cover work, and Wirtz. Now, you could argue that the one most likely to be taken away would be Wirtz, just because he's only just coming into the scene and all that. But you don't spend £110 million on a player of this quality to then play your biggest rivals in the league at home and take him out, because it's an indictment on him as much as you say.
But you've got to have a run of games. You've got to get into the stamina, the pattern, the sharpness, all those things. He's got to be played into this position.
I also I thought he was fine at Newcastle. Yeah. That it was a mad game. It kept going over his head, but he kept showing and kept battling and fighting. So I don't know where it came from. Yeah, nearly scores. And there's a little thing where there's the other thing for me on this is a lot of this becomes 1v1 battles, and will he be up against Subamendi? It's Subamendi's third game in the league. Yeah, you know, you want to get stuck into that sort of stuff. It's Wirtz versus Subamendi, and
I like that actually.
And I'd like to back our lad.
Yeah.
Let's back our lad in this one and say our lad's going to get the better of him here, both in every single way, in and out of possession.
One went for 110 and the other one for 60. Mendes unbelievable play with that Santa myself. Yeah. But Vert is potentially generational, isn't it?
And then you keep doing that, come back the next one, it's, then you line them up and I think it becomes Odegaard versus McAllister in that little pocket. And if McAllister's fit and Odegaard's got a bit of a shoulder injury...
That's the question though about McAllister. That's the only question I've got, is the fact that he's just hasn't been playing.
No, it does feel like, so you called it a false war. The first 3 games of the season are such an island because of this silly international break the week after. And McAllister, like, if you just look back on the way he was treated after we won the league last year, it was immediately, stop, that's it. And they've also let him really feel his way into the season, haven't they? So there might be a little bit of the medical side, sports science side saying what we're doing with him is we're just building him up to a point where it comes to September the 15th or whatever the date is, and that's where he then hits his straps. So there's a possible argument for that, but the argument against it is he's absolutely unbelievable, and in a game of this magnitude you need unbelievable.
And you'd back him over Odegaard. I'll be honest, in loads of ways.
Is Odegaard fit?
His shoulder injury, but they expect he will just about make it.
And Saka
will be out. Saka's definitely out.
Havertz
is definitely out. Martinelli will probably be off the bench because they'll probably play Eze left hand side. Having just bought him, but the way he plays, he tucks in. So he wouldn't be man v man on his fullback. He'll try and play in the space between Gravenberch and Canate and ask us some questions there. Gyökeres pulls over one.
Another little tester for Canate because he's a cracking player, but oh my goodness, sometimes he has you up the wall, doesn't he? So hopefully Sunday's the game where he pulls out the bag.
But it's all these 1v1s and then getting them on our terms. Like, I think the best thing that can happen, Dan, for instance, is if Vert does get the best of Zubimendi, all of a sudden Zubimendi's looking around saying to Declan Rice, I need some help in here, Declan. This fella's murdering me, you come in here. At which point then suddenly the space opens up. Yeah. And for us, that's what I think we've got to do. We've got to pull them around. I'm not quite sure I'll make it absolutely mad, but I think we have got to enforce it to be on our terms and move them around and get them out of their shape that they love.
Yeah, absolutely. You look at them, 2-game sample size, but they're not creating anything still from counter-attacking shots, clear shots, like lowest in the league numbers-wise. So you know what the threat is, you know where it's going to come from. Gyökeres is a big test for them. How does he put up with Anfield? How does he handle it? How does Canate in this current version of himself handle him? The other thing that they did the other day, Arsenal, after I watched them for half an hour against Leeds, the first half an hour, wasn't that impressed at all. And then when I watched the highlights back, it seemed like what they changed with, they were playing really quickly over the top to get him spinning and get him in. Now, obviously, our line, you can have debates about it with set pieces and stuff, but usually in open play, it's pretty flawless where Virgil has them, and you never see any of them getting burnt in a 1v1. They usually leave enough space in behind, but not too much, I think, and I think that's where, Arsenal got to come at us and break us down, is what I'm trying to say. They've got to find a way to beat us that isn't just, lashing one in the box from every throw-in.
Would it surprise you though if they just went full, sit-in? I don't mean sit-in, I said before, they're a footballing team, but I mean, their version of, so you often say, what a version of a team's goal looks like. Arsenal at the point now where their goal looks like a corner, or it looks like a free kick put into the box. By the way, that's a goal that's as valid as taking 3 men on and putting in the top corner. You get exactly the same benefit from that. So I'm not necessarily criticising it.
No, I think they'll be not made up, but I think they'll be absolutely fine if Odegaard doesn't make it, because I think they'll want to play Marino. Because they'll see him as another body that they can.
Yeah, but another offensive
threat. So I think, and it wouldn't surprise me if Eze does, maybe with Saka being out, they go Eze and Martinelli, and they say, again, not the smallest Eze, not a big enough lad,
Yeah.
That might think that's the way on.
I think for us as well, just looking at this, they've got a couple of high-profile attacking players that is hurting them. We're at home. There's no excuses here. We just got to nail these. I know we've got a couple of little gaps here, but we should have enough. And you would choose to play them without those players available because they are very good players. And so they're currently unavailable. So we've got to cash in. We've got to cash in now. And if the fitness of fullbacks sounds and we're steady, and we've got the liveliness and we've got options, and I'm saying going back to it, I think you'll see all 5 the main midfielders playing a significant part in this game to keep the energy levels up.
Yeah.
then yeah, you know, there's every reason why we should get this.
Yeah, there's something else I like as well. When you watch them against when they had to deal with Isak, at times those two centre-backs, they didn't like it. And if Ekitike can do that, and what we've seen so far suggests he can run you this way, he can beat you in the air over here, he's got this technical ability. I think there's a chance you can get... I think the funniest centre-back in that, I think when the game's on their terms, they look immense. And they're obviously two brilliant players. But I don't think, Saliba in particular, I think Gabriel's a fighter, I think he's an absolute warrior. But I think Saliba in his head thinks he's like Virgil, but what he doesn't realise is that Virgil's also a fighter and a warrior. Saliba likes to sort of, I think, be graceful through the game. And I think everyone thinks he hates turning around. And I think everyone thinks that's what Virgil is. But then you watch Virgil, especially in like the other night, when he was like, "I'm winning everything, lads. You watch me. I am everything." And I think that he's like the best of Saliba and Gabriel combined. And I think
level at
it is. That's how good he is. That's how special he is.
Good, yeah.
But I think Saliba, I think when he's had to deal with Isak and Isak's just gone, you know what I'm going to do? I'm not going to try and avoid you. I'm going to just go at you. Yeah. I'm going to just run at you. And I'm going to turn you round and make you... I'm not going to try to take the game away from you. I'm just going to go through you. And I think there's an element to dealing with their centre-halves, especially Saliba, where a bit of that's no bad thing.
If you rattle definitely got that in him, hasn't he? From what we've seen so far, he doesn't mind pulling into... So obviously we played him through the middle, but he definitely prefers pulling to the left, you can see it, but he doesn't mind using that space, picking the ball up and having a little go. And obviously Mo Salah plays for us. You forget sometimes, because we've had him for so long, he's been so brilliant. He'll give Virgil nightmares, that's how good he is. Yeah. And these two are brilliant centre-halves, but they're not Virgil. So we've got, and Gakpo at home, as you said.
Gakpo at home equals a goal. There's a math equation for everyone.
Gakpo at home equals a goal. Ekitike plays a game, scores a goal. What's you up already? That was too easy as footy, mate.
Kev Walsh has nailed it. We're in Reds, it is Friday night. We're with our friends at Erdinger, back in a minute to talk transfers.
And Erdinger, please.
Stop! Don't forget the best bit.
Welcome back. It is Erdinger. It is Friday night, and it is in Reds, the wonderful Reds. Check it out on Exchange Street, east.
And you can eat in here as well.
And you can eat in here as well.
And this is your second take.
Check it out if you're in the city this weekend for the match, obviously, in a number of different ways. Nick Voltermaida is very close to signing for Newcastle, Dan. It's one where you feel as though if that happens, it does completely unlock Isak to Liverpool. I don't think it'll take that long. I think we're going to get a bit of a big nod quite soon that it is agreed in principle at the very least.
I really hope you're right. You know, let's hope that there's been some dialogue there for a while between the two clubs. I think Liverpool won't have wanted to upset Newcastle. I think Liverpool, despite all of the briefings that have gone out over the past few weeks and some of the behaviour that we deem to be quite strange really from the northeast, I think Liverpool will be mindful of protecting relationships with clubs, protecting relationships with agents. They will have held their nerve here, so if the opportunity arises, which we've all been told we have to wait for, Liverpool will have to be true to that opportunity, because they've basically waited for the player. They haven't walked away. The player's arguably kept up his side of the bargain.
Yeah, couldn't have done much more, could he?
And then Matty's downstairs.
Yeah,
6 European Cups.
This is where he met the Newcastle directors apparently on Monday. He said, "Yeah, I'm in Reds Park, come over whenever you want." Like, boss that shirt on the wall. So yeah, look, I expect there to be movement, and if we end the window paying a British record transfer fee for Alexander Isak, who, let's not lose sight of the fact here, if we're sat here now and Isak was on the verge of signing for Arsenal or Chelsea,
oh my God,
you'd be losing your mind.
It's always best to frame everything in life from the other end of the pitch.
Yeah.
And that gives you I think that's an excellent point that you're making.
If Arsenal signed him, you'd be thinking they're possible favourites.
Yeah, we're worried now, yeah.
That's genuinely the level you'd be taking it to, wouldn't you? So, because I think we've all been so... I personally, I've thought it was going to happen from really early on in the season. And I could see all the delays, but I could see why they were happening. But if you put that same thing, so imagine swap, we got Gochares, you talk something to him being brilliant. But if they got Isak, you'd be like, oh my God.
And just to give respect to Newcastle here, I understand, you know, with all the antagonism that goes with football, you know, Newcastle have just won the first trophy in 500 years.
Yeah.
Right? They have. Yeah. Isak leaves.
The only team that hasn't won for longer is...
So, Isak leaves, but the people in control of that club are left behind. They can't be seen to be just saying, now we've just beat the team that just beat everybody else, and we've just won this trophy. They've got to be seen to be fighting for that, and so they've had to be seen to be clinging in. And some of the behaviour has been unsavoury, and I haven't enjoyed watching, you know, and listening about things like that. But I think that they've done a good PR job because that they live there and that's their pitch. Yeah. That's their clan and they're entitled to that. So I've got no animosity to feel about the way Newcastle have conducted themselves and made the baddie out of Isak. That's for their narrative. In the Chronicle, they don't do the echo, do they? Right, so that's for them. But I agree, Liverpool have stood back and haven't really got into a war, and I think that's where you're coming from. It's just the nature of the modern football.
That phony war isn't over, by the way. Even if we do sign him, you know, don't be surprised if there's a lot of noise of this is £150 million and it's being made out that it's been paid in one bank transfer or whatever. You know, and even if Liverpool go a bit mute on that, but there's some subtle briefings that actually...
If we flush this out as the fee, you just don't have to deny it.
They could tell me that we've had to give them every firstborn child from Liverpool for the rest of time, £250 million a week to them. As long as Isak plays for us after an international break, I'm not bothered what they tell you it is.
Because of Walsh, but all right.
Listen, they can have both of mine. you know yourself though, you'll get the Athletic piece on it in 3 months' time from somebody who says Liverpool only committed to paying 28 pence up front. He's got to become the president of the USA for them to get to 150 million quid.
Well, let's not rule that out.
That's an achievement.
But the point is, the PR game, I think sometimes you overegg that because the PR game is more of the Twitter sphere thing. When we go in the ground, we don't care what any of the Liverpool...
The PR game's on the pitch. If they're lads who they're getting in, this big goth lads, who looks like a really good player, by the way, if the lad that they're getting in, for instance, can't play this weekend, I mean, he might be able to, but let's just say he can't. But first game back after the international break, he bags, and Jacob Ramsey bags. They're turning around going, what a transfer window.
It's like what they say, history's written by the winners, isn't it? So if them transfers become winners, that was the greatest transfer. It could actually be, we've been saying it all summer because we wanted it to be too, we wanted to try and manifest it into being, that this could be their version of the Philip Coutinho transfer. So if they get this kid in, like Visser comes in, I think Brentford are playing hardball here, but I think they're linked with a striking alarm.
Yeah, they are, yeah.
There's a potential that they get two, as you say, Ramsey's coming for a lot of money, 40 million quid. 2 or 3 goals, 2 or 3 wins.
Win some games.
Just win some games. Be in 4th position after 10 games and they're like 3 seasons, we're going to qualify for the Champions League here. Win your first 3 games in the League Cup.
Win the Champions League Swiss system games.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
win a couple of them. Win your homes. The place will be bouncing. We know what the place is like. And fair play to them. They're very similar to us. Win some home games, score some big goals, put some points on the board. Everyone will say afterwards, we're doing all right there.
Yeah.
Wasn't great, wasn't ideal. Won't be clapping him when he comes back, but we're all right. We'll all move on with our lives.
That's a nice segue into the set when he comes back.
I'm going to park that one. I'll get you all the shows before that one if you want. Don't you worry about it.
I think everyone will know my feelings.
Yeah, but they're so subtly expressed. The centre-back situation, Damian, is, I think they could do with one.
I think they're desperate. I'd go that far.
Desperate for one, so it looks like Gay is likely if Palace can get their lads lined up, and supposedly just as we were about to record this, they've got a couple lined up.
If you're talking, our ambitions now are to win the big cup and to win the Premier League.
Yeah.
To win those trophies, I would argue that our squad is 2 players short. Yeah. To not say that we're exposed.
Yeah, before you get to anywhere else, not to say we're exposed.
That's it. So you might have a great run. You might have lads with the season of their lives. You might not get many injuries, this, that and the other, but we're going to be playing week after week after week. We're going to be the biggest targets in the league. We're going to be the biggest targets in Europe, or as big as any other targets that there are in Europe. And to win either of those competitions, we know how hard it is, and that's why how joyous it is. Now, I think the people who run the club's transfer strategy are extremely smart people, and there's 2 glaring gaps. So let's go back to the maths equation. that equals Gay, who would fit into the way we play, and Isak, who would fit into the way we play. And I can't see any other options. And I think if we fall short, I do understand the notion about waiting for Virgil till January, for example. But we would be exposed in a point total.
He's not Virgil, or is
no,
he?
I'm not saying that, but I'm just not about... Well, at the other end of the pitch, though, Isak is
so
more of an...
Isak's
Yeah, so,
yeah.
You know, but, you know, we can say, is Konate having a bit of a mad time at the moment? But you know, if he was injured, you'd ask to fall out.
Yeah, true.
Right,
Very true.
and that we are that exposed. So I actually would use the word we are desperate for these two reinforcements,
I think
in particular.
You've got to have a...
I've got faith.
I
I've got faith
agree.
we'll get them both.
Fully agree. But also, if you actually went, okay, well, who have we got at centre-half? Virgil, Konate, Leone's just signed. I know he's only a kid, but we paid a lot of money for him. Doesn't look like we'll loan him out anyway. So he hasn't come to learn his training, has he? So he'll play certain games. Gomez is there. Gahey as well, potentially coming in. Do you know what I mean? Before you know it, even if you took Leone out of that, that's a solider back.
Oh, we could navigate it.
Well, no, what I'm saying is though.
No, we included Gahey there.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Included, if you've got Gahey to navigate, I think that they're your options, they're your boys.
To be honest, if we all had to say now, by Monday, do you think we'd have... I personally think it's pretty much sure that we'll have Gahey and Isak. I think the noises coming out of Liverpool, well, the lack of noise is probably more what I mean. The noises that we're not making about anybody else, and then nobody else is making noise about Isak, obviously, because they know he's ours. Nobody else is making noise about Gahey. There was a little link to Man City, which felt like maybe an agent saying, come on, Liverpool, just pay an extra 2 or 3 million quid or whatever it was. If we finished the transfer window in that scenario, I'd say we were possibly one light up front if you wanted to sort of take Chiesa out of the thinking. But the manager's talking around Chiesa is, he looks like a different player from last season. Okay, so let's give him a chance. But the manager's also probably thinking, well, I've got half a player in Chiesa and I've got half a player in Rio and Gamoa, and I can make a full player out of them too when I need to do it. If you get Gahey over the line, you look how well stocked we are in midfield. Fullback's obviously a little bit lack of experience. That's a strong squad. That does not, let's put it this way, there's not many other squads you'd be looking at in the Premier League going, I'm a little bit jealous of that, are you?
No, but if you're running on those two fronts at the highest level, the hardest league to win and the hardest cup in the world to win, I'm just saying we're exposed without them. And we could get a good run, but if you're relying on Joe Gomez, who's great when he plays.
Oh, just let me have real love for him. I love him, mate.
No, I do love him, but you know what I mean. But if we get them, I think it's the greatest window we've ever had.
There we are, huge talk. I'd still want one more up front, but I'm me. Thank you very much to Damian, to Dan, to Kev. The way this all works is you can win everything. You're always going to need a little bit of luck. You just don't want Liverpool to push theirs Sunday or for the rest of the season. See you on the other side.